5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. Now, here's Tom Silverstein.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. And we are welcome to the second half of the NFL season for the Green Bay Packers.
Yep, they made it.
So far, 6-2. Yeah. And I think, the last time they played was a Thursday. But before we even get into that, I think one thing to mention is that how they've been able to handle the COVID situation. I would have thought they would have lost more guys by now, especially given the community spread in Green Bay of the virus. But so far, 2 positives and a couple of close contacts. Does that kind of surprise you?
Well, it does. But Matt LaFleur's been talking about this since day one, and he understands where they're at in Brown County. I mean, they're going to have it out of control. But these guys, they talk about it all the time, to be safe, wear a mask, social distance and stuff like that. But at the same time, you have to look at the entire United States, the world, what everybody's going through, and through all that, you got to play a football game. And I also want to say happy Veterans Day to all our veterans out there that listen to us and watch us. And so this is not only Veterans Day is one of my favorite days, Tom, but it really intensifies on Veterans Day, the NFL. This is when you make your movement. After 8 games, you look at the landscape and you try to win all the games on paper you're supposed to win. And the ones that you're not supposed to win, you try to hopefully somebody steps up and has a big game. So, but I've obviously never played in a pandemic before, but it's a lot of reminders though. They have signage up, what to do, how to do it and stuff like that. So, shout out to the Packers coaching staff and front office, because you would think out of all the teams, they would have the ones they have 8 to 10 to 15 guys by now would have came down with COVID, but like you said, it's only been 2 and a couple of close contacts.
Yeah, and it'll get tougher when the holidays roll around, and players want to see their families, and it's going to take a lot of discipline as we get to that point. But let's go on to football. As you mentioned, they're 6-2, and I'm having a hard time figuring out the NFC.
I know, right?
How does Tampa Bay look so good and then get just drilled by New Orleans? Mm-hmm. Seattle, well, I wouldn't put too much stock into Seattle losing to Buffalo, because I think Buffalo's a really good team. Yeah. I think they just lost to a good team. But their defense is every bit as bad as Green Bay's. There's just so many things that are odd about this season. And, there's a couple teams starting to come on. Minnesota is starting to come on. I wouldn't write them off at all. And Chicago's starting to fall back now. What's your take on what's going on?
Well, I say this, it's a fluid situation, because each week the power ranking is going to change. Mm-hmm. You just touched on Tampa, but you look at a team, like Arizona, who could really put themselves in position, Tom, but then they let Miami travel 1,000,000 miles away and beat them 34-31. But if you're an Arizona team, you got to feel like you're in the thick of things, because with the expanded playoffs, and there's been some conversation, maybe they expanded even more if they have to miss games. So, Tom, listen, the Eagles may win that division at 7-9.
They should just bar the NFC East from having a playoff team. I mean, they should just throw that out, cancel all their division games, and just call it a night,
It's going to be that type of a year, though. You just never really know, because obviously Pittsburgh and they're above the rest because they had a great defense. Quarterback's playing pretty good. They can run the football. But if you look at Kansas City, they're Kansas City. But in the NFC, though, because people keep asking me, does the Packers have a Super Bowl defense? Nobody does. Nobody has a Super Bowl defense. But their quarterbacks are MVP caliber. So that as long as Aaron Rodgers and the offense can score at least 30 points, they're going to beat a lot of people.
I thought Tampa had a Super Bowl defense until New Orleans just destroyed them. What happened? I don't get it.
Well, a lot of short passes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Get the ball out. Don't hold it. When they're blitzing, the ball is out. Can't guard. Mike came back. Michael Thomas came back.
Yeah.
He had 6 targets. But him being there meant something to everybody. They started to get the ball to Emmanuel Sanders a little bit. They can run the ball with Kamara and Murray. So the key to beating Tampa is short passing games. Remember when they were up 10-0, they did that. And then, everything went south after the 2 picks. But if you're anywhere in the NFC, if I told you the Green Bay Packers town would be 6-2, everybody would take that.
Mm-hmm.
I know fans think they should be undefeated, but that's not how it works.
Well, you could argue they should be 7-1, but they can't stop Dalvin Cook, so they're 6-2. But I think what is interesting is that New Orleans has now provided the recipe for beating Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to provide the recipe for beating New Orleans. Minnesota's already provided the recipe for beating Green Bay.
Yeah.
I guess it's just either going to be a game of attrition where the season who can stay the healthiest, or whose beleaguered unit is going to make the most advancements by the end of the season.
Well, the 2 games the Packers lost, one of my favorite players didn't play, Alan Lazard. He makes a big difference in that offense. He just does. I mean, now you don't have to you can use Tyler Irvin, go back to being the move guy. Now if you get Alan Lazard with man-to-man, the one-on-ones, you can take away, you can't really double. Devontae Adams where you can, but you like to match up with any second or third corner with Alan Lazard. I think that opens the offense all the way back up. And of course, if they can use their tight ends, will be good. But Aaron Jones, we just had this conversation off air. If Aaron Jones is starting to feel healthy, they got a great recipe to make a good run. But I know what fans are thinking, Tom. You beat a bad San Francisco team. You played another bad team in Jacksonville. Okay, I get that. But when they lose to a bad team, you freak out. So what Matt LaFleur has to do and what he's continued to do, keep your guys, their blinders on each week, beating that opponent. I know people looking past this. When do they play the Colts, or Carolina, or some of these teams? But that's how you win your division. And, I will say this, though, real quick. The Chicago Bears have quarterback issues, you know that, but their defense is just kind of helping them hang around.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota and Detroit, they're going to beat somebody and play spoilers. You just don't want it to be you.
Yeah. Now, I want to get back to what you said in the early part of that with the possible return of Lazard and possibly David Bakhtiari this week.
Yes.
All that said, I don't think offense has been the problem at all. Other than that Minnesota game where, they weren't terrible on offense. They just, it's a different animal when you don't have Aaron Jones. And, but really what it's going to come down to, I think, is what's going to be of this defense. When are they ever going to come around? And I'm sorry, I know you don't agree with this, but I don't care what they did against San Francisco. That was a JV football team. And they gotta show they can stop a real offense at some point.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right about that. I mean, because when you play in the playoffs, you're not going to play quarterbacks like Mullen.
No.
That's a fact. You're not going to play quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins, who had a pretty good game against you, but he won. You're going to play the Tom Brady's and the Drew Breeses, and the Russell Wilsons. They're not going to miss throws, and they're going to probably score 30 points as well.
Right.
You're going to get shootouts with these people. So the defense has to come down to something I've always said: stops. You got to get 1 to 2 stops a quarter, and you can win games.
Yeah.
If you can't stop them, and I mean, it's going to be difficult to win a shootout if you don't get turnovers, Tom. I mean, before the San Francisco game, we were doing just kind of talking amongst some of the friends. They were trying. When was the last interception that they had?
Yeah.
Because they're always going to be plus minus in the turnover ratio because Aaron Rodgers don't turn the ball over. But defense, it comes in bunches. So I expect for them to get 2 or 3 picks this week, fumble recovery, cause fumble. You got to get these turnovers going because that's the difference between that 15-1 year when the defense was awful, giving up a lot of yards.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of turnovers, and they were pretty good red zone defense. And that's why the defense got to step up.
Yeah, and I just think, as you mentioned about stops, I think you got to stop giving up touchdowns and hold teams to field goals.
Well, yeah.
Your offense is going to score. You know your offense is going to score. But, man, you cannot give up these big plays, and you got to stop people when they get in your red zone.
Yeah, no question.
That's not happening. So kind of an odd stretch they're going through here. They'll have Jacksonville and then Indianapolis, and no NFC games there. They really got to kind of keep their eye on the prize here in these next 2 weeks, don't you think? I mean, it's really critical that they don't let down against these two teams.
Yeah, you're playing uncommon opponents.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the AFC. You don't play them a lot. I think they only played Jacksonville like 6 times in their career. So you don't play the Colts a lot. But when you play them, it may not hurt you to get into the playoffs, but it can hurt your seeding. You know what I mean? So if it was the NFC game, you win that, you try to win your division. The AFC games, you try to always – try to win those games, but you're not real familiar with these opponents. Sometimes it's good to step outside your division for a little while. But again, you can't lose sight just because they're not an NFC team. Their games are just as important.
Yeah, it's a home game too, and that's critical.
Yep.
So there's the chance, like we mentioned earlier, they could get Bakhtiari back. They could get Lazard back. They will get Kamal Martin back at inside linebacker. They may get A.J. Dillon back from the COVID list. There's a possibility that Christian Kirksey could come back. They're probably going to be the healthiest they've been since week 1.
Yeah.
And I wonder what the process is going to be to get these guys back. Is the expectation that they just step in and they're themselves, or is this going to be a process of getting them all back, intertwined with what they're doing offensively and defensively?
You got to define every guy's role, and that's the assistant coaches to give each guy a role, the ones who are going to be active. The other ones that go back to special teams. You got to give everybody a defined role, so when I get dressed on Sunday, I know what my role is: to go after the quarterback, is it to play special teams, is it to go block a punt, whatever it is. Guys play better when you drill down to him what you want him to do. What is my specialty? What am I known for? My third down guy. I remember Keith McKenzie. Just come in and go after the quarterback.
Right.
Sean Jones on third down. He played better that way. Wayne Simmons, listen, you're playing in the base, you're going to destroy the tight end.
Right.
George Kuntz, you just lead in on the fullback and let Bernardo Harris clean it up. Those kind of things, when you get all healthy guys back, you take advantage of it. Or you get all these healthy guys back and you're still bad because you don't know a rotation and you don't know what the defined roles are.
Yeah. And speaking of roles, I forgot about Jamal Williams. He'll be back as well. So they're in pretty good shape offensively, and we'll just see where that leaves them after the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
So. Yeah, so Jacksonville, what should we be looking out for with
well, they have nothing to lose. I mean, the team is on Minshew was supposed to be the guy, got hurt. So you got another young guy at quarterback. You just played a inexperienced quarterback. But one thing I'll say about the Jaguars, they play hard. I mean, they don't have a lot of talent, but they play hard. And again, you may see some stuff you hadn't seen before. You may see some fakes. The weather won't be that great. They'll be leaving when they take off. It'll be like 84 when they land. It may be 44.
Mhm.
Could have a big difference on it, but they're rebuilding and they're trying to get in position to try to revamp the franchise ever since Tom Coughlin left a few years ago. So Doug Marrone is there, and the fan base is like, man, it's a lot of connection, because me and Edgar played for the Packers, of course. We're from Jacksonville. So ever since then, the fan base, man, if they beat the Green Bay Packers, that'll be their season.
Right.
I think you gotta stay focused.
Yep. Okay, good. So let's go to your prediction.
Yeah, the prediction is anytime they score 30 points, they beat anybody. So I think they'll score 38 points and they'll hold Jacksonville to 17, so 38-17. If they can score like that, and if that score 38-17 for the rest of the year, they'll go to the Super Bowl. If they hold 38 points to 17 points, they'll go to the Super Bowl. So that would be truly amazing. But at the end of the day, they can win 7-6, and we'll talk about it on 5 questions, but you just got to win.
Yep. Okay. Great. So you got a couple sponsors you want to thank?
I want to thank the Jewelry Center, of course. Dean Murray is the man. If you're looking to get married, and this is the marrying season. I think every month, every year it's the marrying season. Just go do it, guys. You'll be so happy, like me. And Ivanhoe's Pub and Eatery in Racine, one of my favorite places for takeout. Of course, my game day brats are selling. They're flying off wherever you can get them. It's a secret. No, it's not a secret. Go to the website. You can find out if you live locally. You can actually pick them up in Brookfield. And Pick and Save, of course, we're gearing up for our big turkey giveaway, and I'm so excited about that. And again, if you got any young man or young lady dealing with bullying, anti-bullying, this is the book to get. It really can help you understand what's the fine line between, just having some fun, joking on each other, and bullying somebody. So you can pick that up as well.
All right. Great. And a reminder to everyone, we will be live about an hour after the game on Sunday against Jacksonville, noon start. So expect us for 4:15. We'll be sending out reminders on Twitter. And don't forget to go to X's and O's. It seems like it's been forever since they played the 49ers game.
Right?
There are a couple plays we wanted to look at that going back to that game that I think you'll enjoy. So until then,
I'm at jsonline.com too.
Okay, got it. Until then, we'll see you next time.